So, hello, inquisitive minds and enthusiastic learners. Join us in a space where knowledge becomes empowerment. So, welcome to another interesting Ignite session by Westward for Business. I'm Diana Pereira, a training consultant at Westward for Business and your host. So, for those who are joining our sessions for the first time, let me quickly brief you on what WFB Ignite sessions are. So these are a series of online workshops and webinars organized by Westward for Business. These sessions aim to provide virtual training solutions to bridge the competency gaps within organizations in the best way possible. So primarily to address critical issues within the organizational context through professional development programs. WFB Ignite sessions are designed to be relevant and responsive to the current business trends and business needs around the world. So these sessions are also led by WFB trainers who are professionals and consultants with years of industry experience. Out of all the Ignite sessions we had, today's session is quite different. It's a journey that will prepare you to discover yourselves and elevate you or push you towards excellence. And today's session is facilitated by Mr. Zawahir Siddiq. He's the Dean of Westward University College. He has a career spanning over 24 years with expertise in domains of engineering and management sciences. He has extensively traveled across various parts of the globe, pursuing a career in academic excellence. Zawahir has lived and worked in countries including India, UAE, Malaysia, South Africa, and have attended and presented research papers in various international conferences in UK, Australia, and UAE and Singapore. He has also organized international study tours for MBA students from India to Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, and Singapore, and conducted cultural assimilation workshops for international students at University of Wollongong and National University of Singapore. So, Zawahir Siddiq has extended consulting services to schools and organizations of diverse industry profiles. He has also taken up corporate training assignments in a wide range of topics that includes leadership and cross-cultural management. So, without taking much more time, over to you, Zawahir, to start igniting this exciting session on discovering your X factor, pursuing your passion towards excellence.
Thank you, Diana, and good morning to all of you. Thank you for attending this session. I'm not sure if it's morning, afternoon, or evening, or which part of the world you are, in which time zone you are, but welcome to all of you there. And thank you for being part of this session. And as Diana said, through Westward for Business and particularly Ignite session, what we're trying to create is a series of webinars that is aligned with consulting, training, and coaching projects. But we want to make sure it's not the cliche, it's not the conventional way of doing things. We have created models and training programs that are unique in its own way. Like, for example, we did a recent program called Bounty of Pathé, where the participants would be in a very training environment, but an ambience that is created with experiential kind of vibe. So you sail on a ship and go from one port to the other. And through that journey, you do learn a lot of things and practice and strategize and all that. This session is also in line with what we want to create and we want to endeavor into in this region, particularly to start with, and obviously spread more insights into what we will eventually try to create. So passion, and I'm sure all of us are aware of what passion is, aware of what excellence is, probably heard of X Factor before. I'm not going to have one point solution to all of these, but at the same time, not claiming that I have the expertise to achieve all of this. But what I'm hoping to and And I'm sure all of us will eventually achieve things that we are aware of. Yeah. So what is according to you X factor? We're going to talk about X factor, passion, uh, and how to achieve excellence, how to be happy. There are very simple things in life that we are aware of and we are achieving on an ongoing basis. But are we sure of what these are? For example, what is X factor for us? How do we, for example, achieve this? So X factor is an exceptional quality of characteristic, as you see here, that makes us unique. And what makes us unique is not an attempt to be unique, but people around us see a uniqueness in us. But is it something that is only deserving for special people? No, it's not. It's for all of us. When I ask you, for example, what do you do? I mean, is this a question that we generally face? People ask, introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you? What's your name? What do you do? Some of us are very happy to answer that question. Some of us are not. Some of us probably are not working. We are not doing a job. And how do I present myself? Do I have an identity? These kind of dilemma appears, and you're not sure how to deal with it, right? So you can randomly answer this question. I mean, what do you do? Simple. If you ask me what do I do, I work in a university. I'm the dean at Westwood University College. I interact with my colleagues and students in a classroom, for example, and that's what I do. Can I hear some answers that you have too? Hello, everyone there. I hope you're there. Hope you can hear me. Right. So X factors about all that, right? Your strengths, your experiences, your passion, and harnessing all that together to achieve excellence. But if you look at what makes us special, there is a lot of exploration that we have to go through. For example, I think I'm sharing a very common challenge that most of us face. If you look at this quote, this is not the current CEO of Google. He's the former CEO of Google. He revealed something in 2010, which is 13 years ago, which is shocking, right? I don't know if it's shocking or surprising or amazing, unbelievable. What he said is, he said this in 2010, of all the information created, I'll repeat, from all the information created from the start of time till 2010, think about that chunk of information that we had over all these years. If you take all of them, and now, he said this in 2010, and now, if you look at every 2 days, this he said 13 years ago, every 2 days, the information that we create is the same as what we created till 2003. So that's the explosion that we see today, and we are all part of it, right? Like the amount of time, I don't know about you, the amount of time that I spend on social media, for example, the amount of time that I spent on watching reels, on reading content all over the place, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on web pages that I read. So it's a lot of information that we have access to, which is good in a way, but it's not so great if that is taking all our time away from a space that we need for self-reflection and exploring about ourselves. Right? I could see somebody saying you can't see the screen properly. I hope you can, all of you. Yeah. All right. So how do we deal with this? Is that stopping us from exploring? Is that stopping us from discovering ourselves? Is that it surely is hindering people like me? Is it hindering you as well? So are we allowing our passions to emerge? So to be discovered? Is there music in us? Is there painting in us? Is there sports in us? Is there any skill in us which we don't know yet? And some of us who know and are not exploring it further. Some of us who wish and love to, but we think we don't have time because we're so busy with our careers, busy with our personal occupations, busy with our professional life. And that is the crux. So is there a need for us to understand during the exploration? We need to create that space. So X factor, as you see here, is that peak frequency of human energy. It's not like, it's something like tuning in your radio. When we tune in our radio, we have a particular frequency, we want to hear what we want. So there is a peak that we want to explore. So are we there yet? We have to find a state of confidence, empathy, attraction. Some people, we see that magnetism in their personality. There's a charisma, there's a personal aura. What I see may be very different from you see. Like I follow a lot of sports. So I see an aura in Novak Djokovic, for example. I see a lot of talent in Rafael Nadal or Roger Federer, but I see a kind of extra magnetism in some players versus the others. Extra magnetism in Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi, probably. Extra charisma in Diego Maradona, for example, or that passion that you see in Usain Bolt, or taking a few examples, or Michael Jordan, for example. So is there that some special attractive something that makes you unique? Or you see people around you, or a particular trait of personality that differentiate yourself from others? So we want to explore this. We want to try to understand this and see what it like. I'll ask a simple question. What you see on the red cloud there, in the red bubble. Recall a time when you were engrossed in something to the point that you lost track of time. You enjoyed it so much, with so much enthusiasm for any activity, right? Like it could be any activity. Like, for example, making a cup of coffee, it's an activity. Playing soccer with your friends, it's an activity. Washing dishes is an activity. Taking care of your garden, it's an activity. So and you feel like you're so passionately involved in it, and then you lost track of time. While I prepared this question, I was thinking about myself. When was the last time I lost track of time? About a lot of things we do, right? Like you play soccer, you participate in a marathon, you wash dishes, I don't know, whatever we do, like engage in painting. So I asked this question to myself, and I was recalling a few moments. So I think the last time I lost track of time was, I went to a temple called Gurudwara, or temple called Golden Temple. If some of you are from India, you'll surely know. It's a big temple. They have about average of 200,000 people visiting every day. And for every single person who visits the temple, they serve food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that place attracts a lot of volunteers, which they call the seva in the Indian language, but volunteers who do things, right? Like some people volunteer to clean the place, some people volunteer to work in the kitchen, some people volunteer to wash the dishes. And I volunteered to wash the dishes. And for about an hour, I actually lost track of time because I really enjoyed doing it. And I don't know, I still don't believe I went back again 2 times later, of course, hosted by a very good friend of mine and his family. And that experience is, I found a lot of passion doing it. So similarly, I'm sure all of you have activities that you find passion in doing, and we want to explore that passion, right? Like maybe whatever brings in happiness in you. If you have heard of Reichert, as you see here, he's a Swedish by origin, but went to Nepal, and he settled there in a monastery. He's a monk, and he wrote a very beautiful book called can you all hear me? Okay, thanks. Yeah, so he wrote a beautiful book called Happiness, a Guide to. So according to Reichert, one of the most important skills that all of us need to develop is happiness. And I'm sure if you ask me what is the goal of your life? One of the things is happiness, isn't it? We all want to be happy, and there's no doubt about it. We all want to be happy. But is our happiness consistent? Mine is not. I don't know about you. For some of you, it is. For some of us, it's not. We have our ups and downs in our lives, right? There are days when we are very happy. There are moments when we are very happy. There are phases of life when you're very happy. There are hours in a day that you're very happy. There are moments in your workplace that you're happy and you're not happy. At your home, you're happy and you're not happy. You don't wake up every morning with the same frame of mind. So it is no doubt, and I agree completely with this. You don't have to agree. All of us don't have to agree, but I think it is one of life's most important skill that we need to develop. So he talks about that, and Reichert, he mentions about, there are very trivial things that people aim for. Like if you ask people, why are you happy? When I have uh, a meal of spaghetti, for example. He quotes that example in his research. So for some of us, I think I find a lot of happiness when I do bathroom singing. And I was thinking about it. The previous question that I asked, isn't it? When was the last time you lost track of time? I think it's if there is one thing that I did consistently every single day in my life, if I recall, I think it's bathroom singing. I don't know about you. And I've been thinking about this. Is there anything that I did so consistently? That's the only thing I have done consistently every single day of my life. And most of the days, it's 2 showers a day, surely 1 shower a day. And it's been I can recall, I'm in the 50s now, I can recall the last 40 plus years when I've been doing that. And people who live closely with me, who have lived with me in my hostel life during my engineering college days, or with my family members, they all know it. And sometimes I really lose track of time. So I keep a clock in the washroom because I do lose track of time. So that's the most passionate thing and consistent thing that I've done in my life. And I'm sure you have moments like those which brings happiness to you, right? So we want to understand what is that. So moving on, this is what Sonia says is factors affecting levels of personal happiness. So I think more or less we have agreed. Happiness is our goal, right? We want to be happy because we know the energy when we are happy. We know how good we feel when we are happy. So if we are so sure that happiness is a state of mind which brings us so much comfort and we want it to be sustained, then why not do it consistently? But we are not. At least I am not very consistently happy. So she says there are 3 factors affecting levels of personal happiness. So let's see what are those 3 factors. And she's done a lot of research, right? So she says we need to sit around people who are being happy. We need to find what are the habits that people who are consistently happy. So if I find people around me, if I find my partner or my children or my colleague who's consistently happy and they spread happiness around. So I need to see what are their habits. I need to learn from them. So according to this research, she says there are 3 factors that affect our level of happiness. 2 of them, number 1 is our biological disposition. So whom we are born to, our genes, our trait, inborn talent, and all that. Second one is our circumstances. We all have different circumstances. The culture that we are brought up in, our home, our school, our environment, our friends, they're all our circumstances. Where we work now, our current organization, our colleagues, our system, our culture. But the first one, the impact of it is only about 10%. The second is about 30%. The third is the majority, right? So, and that is what is in our control. Our behavior is what is in our control. Our circumstances, we can't choose. Our biological disposition, we didn't choose. But our behavior is completely in our control. And that is what makes the difference. How we react to the options and opportunities and environment that is around us, that is what, and there's a lot of research around it, right? So I'm sharing some names and books here, which if you find it interesting, you can follow up later and read more about it. So your behavior is what makes the huge difference. So here I'm bringing back this again to take. So during this session, I made a deliberate effort, one, to choose only people who are popular and celebrities and is well known. For example, if I talk about Steve Jobs, everybody knows. If I talk about Elon Musk, everybody knows. If I talk about Mozart, everybody knows. or most people know. They're very popular names. I talk about Lionel Messi, everybody knows. But I also wanted to mix it up with some people around me. Sometimes it's very important for us to see people around us. I find a lot of inspiration in two very important women in my life, my sister and my wife. I mean, they're like real role models. They have so much passion. They spread a lot of positive energy. They do things in a very organized manner, like me, very disciplined. Uh, so, and we have colleagues around us, right? Like I have colleagues around me who are singers, who play golf, who are interested in gardening. We have we have a culture in our organization. We do unwind sessions, which is a fortnightly event where colleagues across departments share their passion, share their stories, and teach us and share ideas and all that. So I have attended a few very inspiring sessions. One of my colleague who wanted to talk about gardening and how it brings in passion within us. One of them talking about pets and the love for pets. So we need to look around us. Sometimes we fail to look around us. We go after self-help books, watch YouTube videos, watch TED Talks. All that is good, but don't miss the people around you. So I wanted to share some of those stories. And the person you see on your screen uh, is my mentor at work. He's the academic director of Westford University College. And as you see in the pictures, uh, passion is his most recent, I would say, I think it's about 15 years, his recent uh, sport that he picked up. He's been in the Indian Army. Uh, he voluntarily retired as a colonel at the Indian Army, and then he's been with Westford. I think this is the 12th year, and mine is the 10th year. So he's been one of my best mentors in life, in my profession. So, I have conversations with him. I don't know if everybody working here for the last many years know about this. So I have conversation from him. As I said, we need to look for people around us to get the inspiration to see, uh, and not necessarily looking at celebrities. So for him, it's the two G's, right? The guitar and the golf. Two G's that is keeping him moving. And when I had a conversation with him recently, he said guitar is something that he's not able to do like every day, every week, because he's not able to get enough time. But whenever he can, he tries to compose music, play the guitar. But what he consistently does is wherever he goes, right? So he is not like only when he's in his base. So he travels wherever, he makes sure he finds a golf course and gets there. So I have a short video here. I hope all of you can hear.
Golf is also about work-life balance. As they say, all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy. It gives you that kind of a balance. It builds that relationships. You play with new people. You build new relationships. You make new friends. Same thing happens in our work, also in our personal life, and in whatever hobbies that we are pursuing. Now, I would say all of us do have some passion. All of us do have some hobbies. We love some games. We love some activities that we like to do. Indulge in them. Go for them. And create that joy and happiness, which this passion is going to give you. Find that X factor of yours. I had a good game of golf. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to my next round. You too, find your one in terms of what you like to do. Spread that happiness, spread that joy, get that energy back in life, at work, and in the hobby that you pursue. Thank you. See you again.
Thank you, Anil. I hope you enjoyed it. See, the video that you just watched is last week. Yeah. So I requested him and he agreed. In fact, it was a longer video and you missed a lot of good details about the technical details of how he relates golf to his work and his passion. But it's a glimpse of it. So that is the golf pictures and video you see is last week. And the guitar picture, as you see on the backdrop, is like 8 years ago for an event at our university. He played the guitar in the Buffalo Soldier song. So what I mean to say is we can find, and I find a lot of inspiration from him. and many other colleagues, like I said earlier, who are people around us with whom we can rub shoulders and stay inspired. So passion is that fuel, right? That fuel that keeps, it's the ignition of our creativity and fuel that keeps it burning. So we need to have those passion or creative element in us or talent that we need to explore further to do well, not only in life and be happy. So we said we agreed on our goal is to be happy. So to consistently be happy, to do things, whatever we do, if we do dishwashing at home or gardening at home or the normal chores at home or work at our workplace, spending time with our friends, whatever we do, if we can sustain that passion, that is what keeps us going, right? So it's not just it's not just an emotion. Passion is that constant source of our motivation. So for that, it's important that we choose a passion that motivates us. Like, for example, the happiness I found in that 1 hour, over an hour dishwashing at the Gurudwara or the Golden Temple. With that passion consistently, am I like every day 3 times washing the dishes? Not really. I mean, probably that is not. I'm not sustaining that passion that gave me a momentary glimpses of happiness. But is there something that you can consistently seek to be happy? So that is what, and that will help us. Like as you see here, it will help us turn our failures into successes and bring that inner fire in us. Sometimes it's unstoppable. See, it can also be very obsessive, right? You can be obsessed by it and lose priority of things that you have to do in life, because passion has that dangerous vibe as well, which of course we need to understand and we need to explore. No prize for guessing who is this, but I'm sure we have heard a lot about Steve Jobs. But I think we have heard, probably some of us have not heard enough about his passion and roots of making his creative contributions, or the foundation of his creative contributions. For some of you who have read more about Steve Jobs and his biography, you would surely know. I'm not passing on a new piece of information, but we all know he was good in calligraphy, for example, and that was the big reason that he contributed to fonts and the beautiful fonts or creative fonts that we have today. There are 3 major industries he's made an impact on: computing, music, personal computing, music, and the calligraphy or fonts and all that we know. He went on a holiday. He went on a sabbatical to India. I'm from India. I've not gone to places that Steve Jobs have, for example. He went to the remotest mountains, to the monasteries, to the temples, traveled to the rural India, and he took a sabbatical to get a glimpse of ancient India and to learn to be inspired spiritually, right? So he went on a spiritual journey. But unlike the Swedish monk we talked about earlier, he didn't settle in the monastery. And there's nothing wrong with that, nothing wrong with this. But I'm showing that there are 2 paths that we can follow. Some of us may think about living our passion, quit our job, chase it. Good enough if you can afford to do that. Some of us know, let me bring my passion into my work. And that's what Steve Jobs did. He came back from India. He came back from his passion. Like, he plays guitar, right? He plays guitar, like plays really good. He composes music, goes into the depth of the musical notes of the guitar. Probably some of us didn't read enough about it, but his story of music, and it's not an accident that iTunes came. It's not an accident that, I don't know if you have read about it before or you know about it before. For me, the greatest launch that he did is not the iPhone, which he did many times, starting from 2007. If you were to, I'll share the app that you have on your phone. It's called GarageBand. For me, the all-time favorite and the greatest of all-time launch of a product by Steve Jobs or by Apple is not iPhone. It is GarageBand. You have to watch that 45 minutes video. It's there on YouTube. The launch of GarageBand is the greatest ever for me and for a lot of critics product launch. And what is GarageBand? GarageBand is about music, right? So what did Steve Jobs do? His passion for guitar and music came back to his professional life, of his entrepreneurial life. So what did he do through GarageBand? He said during the product launch, there are details of what he shares at the product launch. And one of the things he said is, you have a $50,000 worth Yamaha grand piano. To buy a Yamaha grand piano, you need to spend 50,000 US dollars, about 200,000 UAE dirhams if you're from UAE, about that many times in whichever currency that you can relate to. That's the price of a grand piano. And you can get the sound of a grand piano at your fingertip. That was Steve Jobs' contribution. And there are various developers of musical apps, and all of them said, the clarity that you have playing a piano on the piano keys to create the sound of a guitar on GarageBand is unparalleled in the history of musical compositions. So how did Steve Jobs do that? Because he had the passion for music, right? So that mattered in the work that he brought in. So there are a lot of stories like that. I'm sure you have heard of, if you're into books, if you're into reading novels. This is another inspiring story. I'm sure some of you may have read The Kite Runner or the subsequent books that he wrote, The Thousand Splendid Suns, and the third novel, I can't remember the name. I think it was the Mountain Echoes or whatever. So Khalid al-Husseini, he is an Afghan. He was born in Afghanistan. At about 14 years, he migrated to the US in the 80s. So he was born in the 60s. In the 80s, he migrated to the US. When he landed in US, he couldn't read, write, or speak English, right? So a big no to English language. But when he was in Afghanistan as a kid, he used to read poetry. He used to have a lot of talent, and there's nothing wrong in not knowing English. I mean, it's a foreign language. He doesn't have to know English to live in Afghanistan. But what I'm saying is, when he landed in the US at the age of 14, he could not read, write, or speak English. But he went on to graduate in the US in the English language. He graduated to be a medical doctor, and he practiced for 10 years as a medical doctor. For some of you who have read The Kite Runner, who have read Khalid Hussein's novel, and if you didn't know it, for 10 years he was practicing as a doctor. Some of us have this feeling. I have had this feeling. Why am I doing this job? I mean, I have other passion. So shouldn't I chase that passion? No, Khalid Husseini said, you don't have to. Steve Jobs said, you don't have to necessarily. So while doing his medical profession, like while interacting with patients and doctors and nurses and doing his job full of passion and enthusiasm, he pursued his dream of writing a book. He pursued his dream of writing a novel in parallel, and that is possible, and we all can do that, but not at the cost of, which some of us do, right? Like I felt before this webinar topic was announced and before I was starting to prepare for this, I normally have conversations with people, and one of my colleague, I asked this question, what's your passion? And he's a 25-year-old, and he said, I don't know. That's very sad, isn't it? So there are, and there are people who know, and they say like, okay, 5 days a week, I have to pay my bills. I have to go to work. I have to pay my children's school fees. I have to support my spouse. I have to pay the rent, the telephone bill. That's 5 days of my work for that. And the weekend is for my passion. Another set of people. But do you have to? But what are you doing? At what cost are you doing that? 8 times 5, 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week is for what? I mean, you're spending 1/3 of your life at your workplace, and you're not able to connect your passion with that. So that's very difficult. And Khalid al-Husseini's example is a very good example. As I said earlier, Khalid Husseini, Steve Jobs will come, but then my mentor and colleague Anil Ahluwalia also will come. And this is another person whom I want to, who's very passionate, and I think he has a very beautiful story as well. And it goes in line with what we read here, the passion that generates intrinsic motivation. So his name is Humain Jamil. He's the CEO, founder of a shipping company in Dubai. He's been here for over 40 years for sure, because he was my athletic coach uh, of our school, the school that I went to. So I'm talking about 40 years ago when he was our athletic coach. And now 40 years later, he's still running a marathon. So that's his passion. Amazing, very inspiring, and it's a very personal story. So I have to talk about it with a lot of sincerity and great gratitude. He was working as a salesman in the 80s, and in Abu Dhabi, the timing was Abu Dhabi is the capital city of UAE, for some of you who are in this region. So the timing is he starts at his work at 8 or 9, and then 1 to 4 used to be, like the siesta culture in Spain in the olden days. So 1 to 4 used to be a lunch break. So, and that break is normally people sleep and take rest, because after 4 they have to go back to work. So the 8 hours is split in 2 shifts, and in between you have time to have your lunch and sleep. That was the time he chose to chase his passion of athletics. He comes to school and he coached us at school. He represented us in inter-school championships. He did a lot about, and he was so passionate that, so he starts his workout at 8 or 9. At 1 to 4, when he's supposed to be taking break for lunch, he comes to train us and then goes back to work. And early morning 5 before sunrise, he comes in his car and picks us. He picked me and my friends in his car at his expense, took us to the Corniche, from Sheraton to Hilton. If you know Abu Dhabi, the Corniche length, we used to run. And he used to time us, he used to track us, he used to motivate us. And then he goes to work, we go to school, he comes back in his lunch break or in his sleeping break to do this. And he did something similar to what Steve Jobs or Khalid Hosseini did. He didn't quit his full-time profession. So he went on to set up his company, and let's hear what he has to say.
Putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Today I'm going to share my life story and how sports helped me in the rest of my life. As a young boy, I was a fairly good swimmer. Couldn't afford a lot. Other boys were training in clubs, had trainers. I used to save money, skip my lunch and go for training in the nearest swimming pool. Ended up being its champion, school champion, then the inter-school champion, and onwards. Moved forward, I went into rowing and went on to get a silver and a bronze in the national games. After which I have done 37 marathons. I have sailed across the seas, across the Atlantic Sea. I have climbed 5,600 meters. Why am I telling you this? I run a successful business while doing all this. When you have the passion to succeed, you succeed all over. And life is not only about work, it's all about enjoying yourself. So while sports helped me to succeed in sports, it also helped me to succeed in life. I wish you the same. Thank you.
Thank you. He had to send this despite his busy schedule, his morning runs and his office, and he's the CEO of the company, obviously he's busy. And he sent this like day before yesterday, no, yesterday, in a rush when I insisted. Thank you, Humain sir, for sending this. And what I have found is I visited his office last year on his 67th birthday. So he must be 68. I hope he's not listening to this. I'm sharing your age. So on his 67th birthday, I said I went with my sister and I said, I want to meet you in your office. And I went there. When I went there, it was about 10ish, I think 9:30 or 10. And at 10, he's back in the office after his shower and getting ready for office, after he did a 21-kilometer half a marathon in the morning on his birthday, right? Running 21 kilometers, coming back to office without taking any rest and being on a normal day. That's what passion does to you. But what the most interesting thing I found about him is there are a lot of his colleagues, employees, after joining the Blue Access Shipping Company, which is the company he runs, they have got into sports. And one of them, surprisingly, was our a student who graduated from Westwood University College. And he never did anything to do with sports. He was everything to do with music kind of person. And then after joining the company, while pursuing his career, he started a fresh career with this company. He's run a few 10 kilometers. He's done a triathlon. He's done a half marathon, which is 21 kilometers in the last 2 years. And Humayun Jamil has built a culture in his workplace where people are pursuing passion. I think it's a beautiful case study to understand how infectious his passion for sports has been among his employees with all the support that the organization gives. These are some of the pictures that I could quickly grab. His rowing. He's recently, when I spoke to him, he's training himself for a world championship on rowing or something. So the passion never dies. And as you saw in the video, he's done 37 marathons already. One marathon is 42 kilometers, and he still does 3 to 4 every year. So that is what passion can do to you. So how do we relate all this to how successful we can be? We saw many success stories, right? Like we saw Khalid Hosseini, who wrote novels while practicing. In fact, even after writing his first novel, 1.5 years to 2 years, he continued to practice, Khalid Hosseini. But then at some point, he got into full-time writing, had to quit because of the demand and because of the passion that he had to pursue. Somebody like Humayun Jamil is still running his marathons, is still not living his passion, but he's running a very successful company, inspiring people around him, all the passion that goes. So how do we define success? I think when we talk about success, indicators of success, there is a time before. I'm trying to bifurcate the eras as before 1990s and after 1990s. And the reason for that is Daniel Goleman's the landmark study on emotional intelligence. But Daniel Goleman, he was not the first to research about IQ or EQ. There were many studies done in different universities before, but he's the one who popularized this concept. So he said, gone are the days, enough of it. IQ is not the one indicator of success or intelligence. We have to explore beyond that. So in his groundbreaking book in 1990, he talked about how EQ is important. And he did a lot of study, and his second book, Working with Emotional Intelligence, also spoke about that. He did a lot of study on how people moving up the ladder in an organization or successful leaders and successful entrepreneurs showed signs of being emotionally intelligent and having high indicator of emotional quotients and not necessarily intelligence quotients to be successful. And then there are a lot of other quotients that have been explored after that: creative intelligence, spiritual intelligence, cultural intelligence, cultural competence, and so on. But I think we need to understand this as indicators of success. I'm sure this is another personality that all of us know. I know it's a lot of examples and experiences and stories that we are sharing here. I'm just hoping that all of you or most of you are gaining information about this, because until we get into the Q&A, it's a one-way sharing of ideas. But I'm hoping that all of us are able to relate like I'm able to relate. I'm also learning through this conversation. So the integration of passion with one's profession. That's what Elon Musk did. Like Steve Jobs. He's into technology and he's into creative and innovative projects, and he's brought that in synergizing that with his professional success. Now, when we talk about different types of pursuits, there are 3 types of pursuits. You can decide, you don't have to tell here, you don't have to share with anybody else in the world, you can share it with yourself. There are 3 types of people. It's very important for us to know there may be many types. I'm classifying 3 here, and if you're not able to fit into any of these 3, then you need to explore more. One category is those who have passion and chase their passion actively. I know I'm good in music, I'm going after it. I'm going to a music school, I'm doing a course in sports. Like we run at Westwood, we run an undergraduate program on sports management. So we find a lot of parents who are in a dilemma, right? Like they don't know if that is a career. something that you do on the side as a hobby. How can it be a profession? Like my son did his bachelor's in sports management. Uh, and of course, a lot of people didn't approve that as a career choice, but he's doing well in his career. But what I mean to say is, if you're passionate about sports, go after it. If you're passionate about music, go after it. So that is the first category of people. The others are those who are still searching, right? Like I think I'm one of them. I'm still searching what is my V passion. I've searched a lot and done a lot, tried a lot, explored a lot, but I don't know if this is my element. But the third one, I think it's very unfortunate. At some phases in our life, we are in the third category, that we recognized our passion but didn't pursue it for whatever reason. Looking after family, looking after profession, no time, a lot of stress at work. My dream of music, my dream of painting, my dream of sports, my dream of gardening, or my dream of whatever. I'm going to postpone this for my retired life. My children's education should be over. My spouse should be doing well in his or her career. We get all our financial responsibilities done. And then in my late 50s, 60s, or whenever I retire, I'll chase my passion. Of course, it's a good option, but it's not an ideal option. It's a very unfortunate option if you are not able to pursue your passion after you know. A lot of people like me are still struggling to pinpoint and say, this is my ultimate passion. But when you have already recognized it and not pursuing them, it's not cool. Surely many of you have heard of J.K. Rowling and have probably read Harry Potter. So she's one example of the first type, right? Know your passion very clearly and you're chasing it. And we don't have to talk. She's a billionaire already and very successful and did the right things at the right time and had clarity on what she wanted to do, tell stories. Passion for storytelling, becoming an iconic author, and millions following her. But as I said, I have some smaller stories. When I say smaller stories, great stories, but not heard a lot. He's the person whom you see here. He's the co-founder of a company which was founded in 2013. So it's been 10 years now. And in 10 years, they have trained or interacted with over 10,000 people. And what did they do? They just identified that there are a lot of bathroom singers, like me, for example, who don't see the opportunity, who want to record their own album, who want to record their song in the studio, they want to pursue music and so on. So he started this company, and it will be nice to watch a short video.
Sari sari gari sari gama gari sari gama pa magari sari gama pa da pa magari sari gama pa da ni da pa magari sa.
I quit my job at Intel to create from muck to mic. I found a huge business opportunity here, completely untapped. India is a land full of bathroom singers. We love our music, but somehow we don't end up pursuing them professionally. So there is always this deep-seated desire to sing, to create music, and to perform. That's when I recognized the need for a platform, an opportunity that takes them from the shower to the stage. From Muck to Mic is a platform where anyone from 8 to 80 can come to our workshops, get trained, and get the whole studio experience. We have collaborated with legends like Hariharan and Chitra to train our singers. I guess our business model is to see more and more people walk into the studio and walk out having had the opportunity to live their dreams. If you can sense what people want and see that the market doesn't offer it yet, then that's your window of opportunity to create something new.
Thank you. So Sunil Koshi, he's been doing this, but he's not the Steve Jobs type. He's not the Elon Musk type. He's the one who quit his full-time profession. You know what I said? There is no set pattern of what we can do in life. He was a IT engineer, right? Computer engineer, working with companies like HP and Dell and Unisys, and having a very lucrative career, right? A well-paid job that I'm sure he faced a lot of concerns from his family and people around him on why would you quit a career that is so lucrative and then chase your passion. So he, at some fine morning, he decided, no, I want to chase my passion. He went on to join in a music academy, learned music. He continues to learn, he says, with some of the finest trainers, classical trainers of classical music in the country. And then this idea came up, and he, with his wife, founded this company, Mug to Mic. And last 10 years, they have been doing amazing things. Recently, they also trained employees of Google and Infosys and other companies using music and training them to sing and bring passion at workplace and so on. The second type is Oprah Winfrey. I'm a great fan of hers. She had a very turbulent childhood, very turbulent life, and she went through all that, but pursued her. See, when eventually she came up with her TV show, her grandmother recalled that when she was a kid, she used to have conversations with her doll, right? So she had that energy and aura to be very successful in that. But she kept pursuing to know if that is her calling. But eventually, we know what she created, and that's the second type of people, obviously. The name that you see on the top here, Paul McCartney. I don't know if you've heard. If you know Beatles, you surely have heard of him. And Ken Robinson here talks about the Paul McCartney story, and this can also happen to some of us. We didn't know what is our passion, but we are great at it.
Now, Paul McCartney, or Paul, as I call him, was telling me, as we were chilling, I asked him how he got on at music at school. Did he enjoy music at school? He said he hated it. He hated music at school. He said nobody at school thought he had any musical talent at all. Paul McCartney. His music teacher never spotted anything unusual about Paul McCartney's musical abilities. One of the other students in the same music class with him was George Harrison of the Beatles. And the music teacher didn't spot that either. So this one music teacher had half the Beatles in his class. And he missed it.
Can you believe this? And to how many people this is happening? So I didn't know my talent. The music teacher didn't know my talent. Two of us in the classroom under the same music teacher went on to create one of the greatest musical bands of all times. And the music teacher didn't spot, and they themselves didn't spot their talent. And that can happen to us too, right? So you never know where our passion lies, where our talent lies, and where the opportunity lies to explore and discover. I think discovering is very important. And we have thousands of examples like these which we can learn through, but what is stopping us is the big question. I think we should, if there is one thing that all of us should promise today is through this session or later, is not to be, or try our best not to be in the third category, which I wouldn't recommend, surely, for myself and for anyone. Knowing, having pursued and discovered our passion and knowing that is our passion and not doing enough, that's a crime, right? We cannot let it go with whatever reasons we cite, whatever challenges we have around us. We need to meet people. We need to get counsel by people around us, get support from people around us to get this going. It could be our children, it could be our spouses, it could be our parents, it could be our colleagues, it could be our friends. Get help from wherever we can. If you have reached there and giving up is not acceptable. I thought many times if I should share the story, because I have a personal bias sharing story, because this is my sister who's produced a very inspiring story and has encouraged me a lot. She sparked her magnetic or aura around the family and friends for the last few years. I think it's a very special story, and the only limitation I have is she is my sister, and I feel, am I doing the right thing by sharing a family example? But I think it's okay because it's a great story to tell. Go back 5 years, 2018. I'm going to tell precisely what happened because I know everything that happened. She's in my family. 2018, she decided to, with her friends, run for a pink run for one of their friends who was battling cancer, and they wanted to do a pink run, right, like a 5 kilometer run. And she was struggling to walk 5 kilometers, so she participated in it for her friend, and that's when she realized, oh, my health is very bad. I'm not fit. She couldn't walk 5 kilometers in December 2018. Exactly a year later, in December 2019, she ran a full marathon, 42 kilometers. And not just ran, like I did a 42 kilometers as well. I just completed in about 6 hours, but she did it in a really good timing. So what went through from 2018 December to 19 December is unbelievable, right? It's unbelievable because she never participated in sports in school, never. She's been in other events like speaking, writing, drama and all that, but in sports, no. Unlike her brothers, including me, who were active in sports, right? Like we are active in athletics, in football, in other sports. We used to win prizes. We used to do well at competitive level, but she didn't. And when is she discovering her passion? In her late 30s or mid 30s. And in what circumstances? Everything against her. She has a full-time job. She has 2 children, grown-up boys. She needs to prepare lunch for them, take them to school, manage her work, the triple responsibility, right? As a mother, and obviously as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as an employee of an organization, and doing all that. And one thing that she consistently did, and she said she can't sleep if she didn't, was working out every day. But then recently, so she did one marathon, she did a lot of hiking, she did Spartan, she qualified for the World Championship in Greece for Spartan. Spartan is like a very demanding sport. And then she did an Ironman. Ironman is like doing 21 kilometers run, 2 kilometers swim, and 90 kilometers biking simultaneously in about less than 8 hours. She did all that in the last 5 years, yeah. And recently she decided enough is enough. I'm quitting my full-time job, chasing my passion further, which I discovered very late in my life. And she started her own company, got certified with Spartan and physical personal training. And she's now a full-time personal trainer, chasing her passion further. And if you can, request you to watch this video, unlike the other videos, because it's my sister. And I'm sorry for taking up the personal liberty to share a story in the family.
Hello. Entering into the world of fitness and sports in my 30s, I have become a true enthusiast, breaking the stereotype that age limits our passion. Despite starting later, I have conquered around 100 races, proving that dedication knows no bounds. Despite the hard work that I put into my training, it not only brings me happiness, but also helps me to stay calm and focused in the whirlwind of life. This doesn't just benefit me, but it also helps to strengthen my family bond as well. My dedication to fitness has a ripple effect, spreading positivity to those around me. I inspire my friends and family to adopt an active lifestyle, unlocking a treasure trove of benefits like feeling healthy, happy, focused, and confident. My journey highlights that it's never too late to motivate others. Through my example, I show that the power to inspire and encourage a vibrant life is ageless, and there is no wrong time to ignite such a passion in others. With each race that I conquer and every training sessions that I complete, I prove that it is possible to lead others onto the path of well-being and determination, regardless when they start. So I continue to chase my fitness dreams, not just for me, but for everyone who I inspire along the way. Let's ignite our passions, celebrate each other's journey, and prove that inspiration knows no bounds. Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Hello.
And yeah, this was an Ironman, which is a triathlon of the highest caliber, which he did. 2 years after that, when she couldn't walk 5 kilometers. So it's an amazing achievement. And as she said in the video, it's inspired a lot of people. I'm one of them because I did a marathon only because of her. I did my first 2 kilometer swim only because of because of the inspiration that came around in the family. And many of us, my wife ran 10K, my sister-in-law did, my brother did, my son did. We all got into active endurance sport because of her. So it is possible. And I'm sure there are a lot of friends who could. So it is, they say, I'm sure you know both these people, Dalai Lama and Beethoven. They say to be born itself, like you see in the quote here, to born itself is a miracle. We are all past that stage. We are a miracle. We are born into this world, right? Like my sister being born into this world, I being born to the world, you being born to this world is a miracle. So what stops us? And the picture you see on the right, Beethoven, he went on to create some of the great symphonies, isn't it? But if you think about his story, his mother, for all his siblings who were born before him, most of them died because there was a serious medical condition. And the doctors highly recommend that she should not give birth to another child, which she didn't listen to. And that's how Beethoven is born, and the rest is history. But if you think of Beethoven's story, he created his best symphony, the Fifth Symphony, when he was deaf. He couldn't listen, right? Can you imagine that? He's composing the best music ever, the Fifth Symphony. If you hear, you can Google Fifth Symphony and watch on YouTube as well. He's deaf. He can't hear the music that he's composing. He's playing music on his keyboard, but every single note of the music is in his mind, right? So, which means our passion, like music, is in our soul. I mean, it's deep inside us. We just need to discover. If somebody without hearing can compose music, obviously we can do a lot more. And another, we are talking about three stories here, right? Like Steve Jobs, Beethoven, and now Einstein. Einstein, we know a lot about his scientific discoveries and contributions in physics, mathematics, etc. We know a lot about him. But very few of us know about his exploration with the violin, like music, right? Like he plays music, and some of his best ideas and problems he had to solve, he says, comes when he plays the music, right? Like Steve Jobs, when he plays the guitar, goes deep into it, he gets ideas. Einstein gets that because they say there are a lot of research which says if you have to choose one activity that activates, stimulates, and uses the entire brain, that is music. So are we exploring? Most of us love to hear music. Like Sunil Koshi said, there are hundreds and thousands of bathroom singers in the country. That's where you identified the opportunity. There are people who really want to sing. There are people who really want to compose music. So why not explore that word? This is the last part of this session. I think, the time is up already. If it is okay, I think I want to complete this as well. The greatest danger for most of us, I think, is because we don't set good. We don't assess ourselves very well. The greatest danger for most of us is that we set our aim that is too low. Like I said, when I got inspired through my sister, I did a 10K, and then, of course, it took more time than her to prepare for the marathon, but I could do 42 kilometers eventually. It is because you set smaller milestones first. Run a 50-meter, right? 100-meter, a 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer to a 5 kilometer to a 10 kilometer. Eventually, you'll reach there if you have that goal and if you want to do it. Not all of us need to run a marathon, but everything. So now, recently, I started playing music. Learning music. Like first time in my life, despite singing in the bathroom for all my life, in my early 50s, when I'm 51, I'm recognizing my strong will to chase that passion. So I started learning music a couple of months ago. So I'm learning music with a teacher who teaches me how to play the keyboard and training me on the vocals, the fundamentals. So I'm learning the fundamentals. So I'm a student back to learn music. And I think setting those milestones are very important, and we can achieve. So I remember why I'm saying this is sometimes setting a goal is very important, because when on my 40th birthday, I wanted to do this sports thing that I was very passionate about. So Humain Jamil was one of the school coach whom you watched earlier, who trained me to do a high jump. High jump was my favorite athletic event in my school. So during that event, I wanted to, when I was 40, I realized I didn't pursue it in the last 20 years. And then I tried doing this. This is a 30 seconds video. So at 40, I realized if you set goals, you can go back to your passion, which you enjoyed so much. I enjoyed high jump so much in my school days. 20 years later, at 40, I did that. These are things that I did in my 50s, of course, inspired by people around me, and which includes my sister. I did a 42-kilometer run. I did a triathlon. I did the scuba diving. Now I'm learning music. So I think I'm somebody like Oprah Winfrey, still chasing what is my passion. I don't know. Maybe it's music, maybe it's athletics, I don't know, maybe it's painting, maybe it's something that I didn't explore yet, maybe it's gardening, I don't know. But what I know for sure is every time I am engaged in something that has a direct impact on what I do in life, on my work, at home, in my personal life, I have that spring in me that keeps me going and enjoying whatever I do. Of course, there are times when I'm low and high, but I think what all of us need to do is keep pursuing passion that we can, and we also need. This is one of the tools that we'll be using in our training sessions in the future, which is Tony Buzan. I'm sure you've heard of him. I have a video which I'm not playing now because our time is up. But what he says is, what Tony Buzan says is, I think Sunil Koshi and his team at Muk to Mike also says this. See, if you can speak, you can sing. It's very simple. So it's not like I don't have the talent. I was not born with the talent to sing. My throat is bad. My song is horrible. My voice is horrible. No. Anybody who can speak can sing. That's the theory, right? If you can draw a straight line and a curve, you can do any drawing. Then what is required is persistence, training, and discipline and practice. Because practice is what makes Leonardo da Vinci said, if you knew how many hours practice I did for every day for the last 20 years, you wouldn't call me a genius. And everybody says that. They practice a lot, isn't it? So we need to put that effort, practice a lot, and know that success occurs when opportunity meets preparation, right? We may have the talent, but we need the opportunity. But at the same time, we need to try. And there's no greater example than Usain Bolt for me to conclude. Look at his achievement. 9 gold medals for running 115 seconds. Less than 2 minutes is what he ran, but he earned 120 million so $1 million for every second that he ran. But what we forget is, for those 2 minutes at Olympics, he trained for over 20 years. Can we all do that? If we pursue, yes. So if Khalid Hosseini went on to wait 10 years of his medical practice here to write his first novel, it was not easy. What we see is easy. We call them geniuses. We celebrate their success, but they're going through a lot of hard work and persistence. But to keep your passionate self alive is very important. So with that, I think, Diana, I'm done. Thank you. We'll talk about the... I wanted to mention this. We are doing a free workshop. As I said earlier, a workshop with a very different ambience and setting. We'll have musical instruments around us, painting canvases around us, a sports space around us, a vibe that is going to be very different from normal training sessions. And we are doing that workshop on 9th September. You will get an email to confirm if you want to participate. That's on a Saturday, and that's the second Saturday of next month. And what do? We have training modules that will help you discover your passion, develop a plan, make incremental achievements, show them with the results and progress that you make with accountability partners, and celebrating your milestones. So that's coming up. And we also have training and consulting modules for individuals, leaders, and organizations. We really want to help in the last quarter of this year, few organizations, and we are already pursuing that to create an environment in the workplace to nurture the passion of employees so that there is a culture to foster creativity, productivity, and excellence, and how we can all find happiness by pursuing our passion, and how to be creative and discover the entrepreneur in us. So we don't have to start our own company. We can create magic within our organization, celebrate teamwork, diversity. And I don't personally believe in work-life balance because I think everything is life for me. But if you believe so bifurcating both, how to find that balance by particularly pursuing a passion is very important. Thank you so much for being patiently listening to this interaction. I've really enjoyed sharing some of the thoughts I have, some of the ideas that has come across, some of the plans that we have to create. We are definitely going to make a difference with Respect for Business in working with organizations to create this culture. And that is in our plan. But if you are interested, and if you're welcome to attend the free workshop as well. Thank you, and over to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Zawahir. It was such an interesting session, and none of us actually felt that we are overboard on time. So once again, thank you so much. And I'd like to say thank you to all the participants as well. But before we wind up, of course, we've got so many comments thanking you that the session motivated the participants. So thanks for that. And a couple of questions. Just one question would be, how do you differentiate between just a passing interest and a genuine passion? I'm sure this is a question many of us would have. Even you mentioned that you are still trying to find what it is. So how can we really differentiate it and really nurture and elevate the passion?
Thank you. So for whoever asked that question, thank you for the question. See, we get signals, right? Like, for example, when I said I recently started learning music, so I know that is something that I would love to learn. Then I get fully into it. I think getting fully into it and not quitting is very important. So get the right people around you. And one of the biggest challenges is quitting, right? Like, I think they say health centers or gyms, the business model of gym is you have to quit. If everybody who subscribed to go to a gym went there every day, they're going to run on losses. The business model is based on that. If 1,000 people subscribe, 700 has to quit because they don't have the capacity to cater to 700 people. I'm talking about, general business model around the gym, because they know a lot of people quit. So not quitting is, I think, very important. And then getting the right people around you. See, the model that I showed earlier, discovering your talent, all that is important. Having accountability partners is very important. What is accountability partner? Like, I get into a community, for example, like post the workshop, what we want to do is create a community. So when you have a community, it doesn't matter. So you join every Saturday or every Sunday or twice a week with a group of people who are more motivated than you. Some are less motivated than you. Some are as unsure as you, but you are pursuing it. So if you say, I'm going to, like when I registered for my marathon, for example, then I knew I had to do it. But I don't have the motivation that my sister had, for example, or many others had, for example. So I need to be in the company of people who are into it. So that weaker people like me, when I say weaker, with less discipline and less motivation, with a lot of other things and distractions, will get into the track. So accountability partners, I think, is very important. We want to call it accountability partners because that's the model that we have developed and we have seen things work. And then you get the right kind of guidance and counseling with your tutors and mentors. You may always have a music teacher like the Beatles, Paul or George, where they say you're not good enough. Maybe you have to take a second opinion, like we take a second opinion for medical concerns from another doctor. Because if two of the greatest musicians were not identified of having any talent by their very highly qualified music teacher, it can happen to us. But then we should be unstoppable, I think. I think we should pursue and say, no, I'm not giving this up. You are not the right tutor, I'll go to another. You're not the right community, I'll go to another community. I'm not giving up. Which is what I think from my experience and what I see around the way to go.
Thank you for that, Zawahir. And we have another question. So it asks, excellence often requires significant time and effort. So how do you balance passion with other responsibilities?
Okay, it's a very one-on-one question, right? Everybody has different challenges. I think the way to look at it is, if you believe in God, I believe in God, but if you believe in God or you don't believe in God, if you believe in science or God, every single human being in this world have 24 hours a day. So God has been very fair with that. Science has been very fair with that, whichever group you belong to. So it's not like our jobs, right? Like we all have different incomes, we have different expenditures, we have different responsibilities. But with time, it's been a very fair world. So I don't think the problem is with not having enough time. It's about prioritizing. It's about not procrastinating. It is easy to say than do, because we all fail. I'm one of them who fail with plans that we make and goals that we set. But I think if you have the passion, like I found in the last 2 months with music, I've been literally practicing every day. And I don't know from where I got that passion and energy, because I'm really enjoying it. So if you're enjoying it, you'll find time. And I can see that is bringing in extra focus and passion in my workplace as well. I mean, the work that I do, I feel that I'm a better employee, I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, I'm a better brother. The different roles that we play because of music. So I have a feeling I have found my passions. So to answer that question, Diana, I think it's about prioritizing, and I can't give a straight fit answer that fits all, because we all have different kinds of jobs and responsibilities. So I think it should come on a one-on-one counseling or coaching session for details.
Yeah. Thank you, Zawahir. And we have one more question. This is from Said Nabil. He's asking how passion is important for our professional life. And I think it kind of, you answered that with your previous question, but if you want to add something onto this.
I think I surely want to add it so much. I find it very difficult, as I said earlier, if you are one of them and if I am one of them, that I'm seeing my job as paying my bills only, then I think we are in deep trouble. We need to bring passion back to our work. We cannot, this is my theory. Okay, I think I want to answer that question this way. We have to believe that no organization in the world, no employer in the world can compensate you for your talent. I'm saying with being in the top leadership in an organization where I've been working for 10 years, no organization in the world can do that, because they don't have to do it. What is your worth? Nobody can assess. Our organizations are paying us, compensating us, recognizing us for the role that they have assigned to us. But I'm the Dean of West Federal University College. That's my designation. Tomorrow there will be another dean. Yesterday there was another dean, right? All of us are doing the same job, and we have the same job profile, job description, responsibilities, and role. But what each one of us bring into our job is very different. So Diana, what you do with your job, what I do with my job, what the others who are in the session do with their job, that is the passion. And the reason I say this is just because, and there may be cases when your organization is not recognizing you and you're not feeling motivated. But if that is the reason for you to be less passionate at your work, who is the loser? You are the loser and the loser. Because I'm spending 8 hours of my day, 40 hours in a week, 160 hours in a month, so many hours in a year. And year after year, I'm spending 1/3 of my life in my workplace. And if I decided to be less passionate, less sincere, and just take it to pay my bills, I think my growth, if I did this in the last 10 years, I'm working for this organization for the last 10 years. If that was the way I pursued my work without passion, 10 years of my life has been wasted, is what I would see. The organization will recognize when. So I think that's how we should deal with passion. We cannot afford to not bring passion in anything we do. It's not just the workplace.
Thank you, Zawahir. That was such a motivational and insightful session. And we, of course, this is the first time Westward for Business, this Ignite sessions went beyond the time, but I think it's totally worth it. So thank you so much for igniting us all by sharing your knowledge and experience with us. It was definitely refreshing with all the experiences and all the information you shared with us. And
Thank
for
you, Diana.
all
I wanted to
Yeah.
I wanted to add something.
Yes, please.
Again, apologies to everyone for slightly going over with the time. And I know it's a working day, and all of you did make a lot of effort to attend the session. But yeah, sometimes you get obsessed with the passion, and this topic is a very passionate topic for me. So I would like to personally apologize. One more thing that I wanted to add, when we talk about passion and X factor, that aura, that magnetism, that charisma, I think one skill that all of us have and we are not necessarily practicing it is the power of smile. I think all of us, we were all born with that talent, God gifted, or the talent gifted by our parents, which is to smile, right? We can smile so easily. I have never seen a baby that didn't smile or didn't cry. But how did some of us lose that habit as we grew up? What stops us from smiling to our colleague, to our friend, to our customer, to our teacher, to our parents, to our siblings, to our family, whoever? And all of us will agree that smile has that power, isn't it? We connect with people through our smile. There are a lot of, like the Japanese in the 80s did training programs on power of the smile, like training programs for corporate employees on how to smile. That's really unfortunate, isn't it? Why do we need training to smile? We were all born with the power to smile, and we know the magic of smile. So I think if there is one tip that I want to give you and myself on how to show a glimpse of our X factor, I think it's the power of smile. Thank you so much, and looking forward to interacting with you in the future. And thank you so much, Diana, for hosting this session.
Thank you,
Have a
Zawahir,
great
and
day.
for you too. Thank you. And for all the participants, just a quick reminder before we leave. That is, your comments and your suggestions do matter for us. And thank you for your patience. After this, you will receive an email with your feedback form and your e-certificate if you have opted for it. So please do let us know your suggestions, your interests, so that we can make these sessions much better and much more useful for all of you. So once again, see you again with another insightful Ignite session. Until then, thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care.